Hi all, I'm Stefani Gutierrez. I was very brave when I was 9 years old. We used to live on the farm near the Orinoko river and had fun with my friend Pablito. He was very crazy about me and always said that he will marry me no matter what. He chased me like a puppy. Once, we were getting tan on the beach. He got on the boat, but the rope was untied and he was swept with a stream. Pablito screamed for help, but we were too far from the adult. I took the oar and ran down. One of the trees bent over the river. I climbed onto a tree and successfully threw the pole to him, but I could not resist and fell into the water. I was able to swim and headed towards the shore. Pablito was far away, but was already sailing towards the beach, and I calmed down. Suddenly, I began to feel small injections in my body. 20 minutes left to the coast, but pointing increased and became slightly painful. Piranhas! When I realized they were piranhas, horror rolled over me. I gathered all my strength and sailed up to the beach. Pain and fear accompanied me. The water around me seemed to boil. When the hand touched the ground, I was full of pain and I lost consciousness. I spent 3 months in hospital. My parents were by my side all the time. When I was discharged home, I saw myself. My face and my body were covered with small scars. I got depressed. The saddest thing was that my mother won the Miss Venezuela contest in her youth. My dad was a famous fashion designer and my parents were happy about my birth. I was as beautiful as a mom and brave like dad. Everyone predicted my modeling career. Now it was over. This period was worst in my life. Often in a dream, I scratched my body and screamed in hysterics. I dreamed that hundreds of toothy piranhas dug into the skin. I tore them away from me and threw them in disgust, but there were too much of them. The next morning, my body was covered with small wounds from my nails. By the age of 17, I was a secretive, angry, depressed, and uncertain creature. Any problem happened, I had a nightmare with piranhas, and the next morning, my whole body was in wounds. Once, I saw Pablito, my childhood friend, in downtown. Now he was handsome Pablo, and there was such a beauty next to him that made everything inside me tight. Pablo was also embarrassed. His girlfriend asked, "Oh, is this the girl who rescued you?" and looked at me curiously. If you only appeared on the Orinoko River now, then all the fish would have fled from fear, including piranhas, and laughed. Pablo dragged her away. I was crushed, but something stirred in me. It was anger, burning passion at her and at Pablo that I clenched my fists and said, "It's okay, I will have my revenge." I ran to my mother with such aggression and pressure and blurted out, "I want to become Miss Venezuela." The poor mother was shocked. She thought that I had gone completely crazy. I demanded that she tell my father about it. A few days later, my parents called me into the living room. There, I saw several people from the organization of a beauty contest. The art director asked me to walk around the hall, demonstrating my beauty. For me, it was unexpected. I could not move. Everyone looked at each other and I noticed a shadow of a little smile on their faces. Dad was smiling through anger. Then they asked me to appear in a swimsuit. Of course, I had a slender fit body, but it was covered with small scars. I didn't know my dad arranged this. Whether he wanted to prove all the craziness of my desire or wanted to try to help, this whole show only made me angry. In their eyes, I read disbelief and even mockery. I pulled myself together and walked in front of them. This time, no one could keep their laughter. Ugly in scars, waddling like an orangutan. That's how I felt. It is unclear why. Their mockery only irritated me. The art director invited me to become a UFC fighter like Chris Cyber. The whole world knew this monster. Even Dad was offended. He besieged the art director. At this point, the adults stopped my torture and left to drink brandy. Mom was also afraid to come to me. I looked like an evil chupacabra, but I liked the testing in front of people. There was a challenge in that, and I felt like a UFC fighter. I went to change clothes after this fiasco. When I was returning to the hall, I saw an old lady. She watched me with interest. I sat down at the table and began to drink. "Defiantly nosy and chump, you will never become Miss Venezuela," she said unexpectedly. I blurted out, "I will. You will see it," she repeated. "Daughter, you can never become Miss Venezuela with your illness." I looked at her viciously, but she seemed to be talking not with me but with someone else. She just as calmly continued that her mother said so when she was just as young and beautiful. She introduced herself. It was Senora Melades. Melades told me how in her youth she contracted osteoarthritis and her parents dissuaded her from fighting for her dream. As a result, this led to lameness. She was now jealous of how persistently I dreamed of becoming Miss. She handed me her business card and invited me to her office. She told me that she would make Miss Venezuela out of me. I asked how much it would cost. She replied that the price of her service is my victory. A spark of kindness, hope, and understanding flashed in her eyes. I kept all my meetings with Senor Melades a secret. She was a very kind but demanding woman. To begin with, she had a lengthy interview with me. Then we wrote a program of my classes for 3 months in advance. I was engaged in choreography, shaping, went to acting classes, and most importantly, she introduced me to an excellent psychologist. Within a month, my nightmare had stopped. Despite her progressive illness, Melades was always present in my classes. Of course, you have a question. What about the scars on the face and body? Yes, that was the main issue for us. Melades once invited an interesting person who came with tools and an assistant. They told me about the ancient and unusual traditions of African tribes and the scarification of the body. Basically, the artistic and volumetric scarring of the body. A whole series of pictures in front of me depicted beautiful drawings on the body and faces. They were made up of volume scars. Knowing my fighting character, Senor Melades chose this method. Only then I realized that this was the surest way to restore my appearance. The process of scarification, which was called keloid, took several hours. As a result, we got a whole picture from the scattered and incomprehensible lines of the scar, which I saw only after complete healing. It took more than 2 months. Later, a great fashion designer worked on my outfits, and other masters worked on my appearance. I did not recognize myself in the photographs. I turned out to be an unusual beauty. Soon we began to participate in local competitions where I started to catch the jury's eye. And within 6 months, I received license from more prestigious competitions. Furthermore, my path was ambitious and successful. Melades left the house less and less. Paralysis slowly took her. My parents also found out about my success. They were thrilled. And when I won the Miss Venezuela national contest, Dad threw a party. He thanked all his friends for their faith and help. All my father's friends and even the art director said, interrupting each other, I knew that she would become the most beautiful girl in the country. Well, from the very beginning, it was obvious. Stefani Gutierrez is the beauty of Venezuela. One woman named Marta stated, I prayed, bless Susanna, our intercessor, for your victory. Day and night, now you won. Dad warmly thanked her. Then my father made me bow to them and express my most profound appreciation. I looked at this crowd. Everyone was happy and sincerely believed their words. Tears appeared in my eyes, and you probably understood who they were dedicated to. I imagined my sweet, kind, demanding mentor, Melades, and bowed. This bow was dedicated to her. If you liked the video, click the like button and leave your comments.
Hi, I'm Anna. As you can see, I'm not the slimmest girl in the world, but I have no problems with that, and men adore me. But it hasn't been like that all the time. You might wonder how this can be possible. I'm sure there are overweight girls you know who are either very insecure or too self-confident and sincerely believe that leggings and crop tops make them look irresistible. My secret is different though. I know that haters laugh at me and say that I threaten guys around me to eat them and all their relatives if they don't flirt with me. But it is nonsense, of course. Smart people say that you can change your life only if you overcome certain challenges. And this is what has happened to me. I used to be really shy and self-hating, but I wanted to date guys. I looked at them and thought that I would never be able to talk to any one of them. And when I dared to start a conversation, it usually turned out to be a disaster. I mumbled, sweated, my face turned red, jokes were too silly, both the guy and me felt awkward. I could see that it made me even more nervous. In such situations, I felt too humiliated and tried to stop talking and leave, or the guy left first. Finally, I got tired of living like that, and I made up my mind to lose weight in any way possible. I went to the gym and read plenty of materials on diets. The most effective diet was the one that required to drink as little liquid as possible. So I decided to try it, and I chose the most intensive training program. I wanted to see changes as soon as possible. So I worked really hard. I drank very little amounts of water and the result was perfect. I didn't sweat that much any longer when I spoke to guys. It made me more confident. I believed that I was doing right. so I kept training and avoid drinking. Now I understand that I had to do things slowly to help my body adjust to changes. But I wanted to see quick results, which led me to the hospital. I had severe malnutrition and exhaustion. A week later, I gained the weight that I had lost and even a few pounds more. I looked in the mirror and felt miserable. I had worked so hard, but it wasn't worth it. I was sure I was a loser. I didn't want to live. I decided to kill myself. I stole some pills from the nurse and took them all. Then I lay on my bed and started waiting. I thought about my life, parents, relatives, friends, and suddenly realized I wasn't ready to give up, but I already had my stomach burning. I jumped up from the bed, ran out from the ward, and started shouting that I needed gastric lavage or I would die. A nurse saw me, looked at the bottle of pills that I had taken, and told the doctor that I consumed plenty of laxatives. I rushed to the toilet. On my way there, I was thinking about how stupid I was. I managed to fail even the suicide mission. I didn't stop thinking about it, though. I decided that falling from the hospital roof could be more effective. But the idea of other people watching a bloody mess on the road made me feel nauseous. Fortunately for me, doctors informed my parents about my suicide attempt, and parents hired a good psychologist for me. A week later, I no longer wanted to die. I was ready for gradual work to make my life happy. When I was discharged, parents also hired a personal trainer and a nutritionist to help me. Under their supervision, I started to see first results soon. I kept seeing the psychologist, and soon we became good friends. This period of my life was very productive. I lost 24 pounds, learned to accept and love myself, bought trendy clothes that made me look gorgeous. I felt more confident and wasn't afraid to talk to people, even men. My father was glad to see that my life changed, so he decided to retire from business and start a career as a politician. I knew he dreamt of running for mayor of the city, and I was happy that the positive changes in my life would help him make his dream come true. I was rather self-confident at that time. I started to notice that guys paid a lot of attention to me. I wasn't in a hurry to begin a relationship. I flirted and loved the process. No, I wasn't slender yet, but I already knew that it was my confidence rather than appearance that mattered in these kinds of things. I stopped attending the gym because I didn't have time for it, but I continued to maintain my diet. I had many dates and enjoyed my new life. A few months later, I met a handsome guy, Bill, who also wanted to be a politician. I was sure that my father would approve him. Bill loves me and often brings flowers and candies to me. I love him too, but I do flirt with other men. I want Bill to understand that he is not the only man who is interested in me. Besides, flirting and dating are like a drug to me, a drug which I can't have enough, no matter how much I consume. Probably I still have that little insecure girl inside me. My father was elected mayor, and to celebrate the victory, he bought a car for my boyfriend, saying that he had to drive me whenever and wherever I wanted. I have a good life now. I enjoy every day and think about starting a self-confidence development course for overweight girls. I wish you all to be confident and optimistic. Be yourself and subscribe to our channel.